What's up, my dudes? This is the no standing video for MX Simulator, and check out that mobile medical unit over there. I'm gonna need that shit for damn sure. So let's get in here, dude. I've got it set on sticky sit down, so I usually don't have it set on that, but I do for this video just for simplistic purposes. So I'm dabbing, bro. So we're gonna see how this actually feels. I've never ever experienced with this before. And I don't really know these 2016 motocross tracks like the back of my hand either, so this is going to be interesting. I think I only rode like 2 or 3 pro races, nationals last year, so I've rode on them, but not very much in comparison to like the 15 outdoor tracks and all the supercross tracks from like 14 or even like 13 onward, I would say. These are probably the year that I've rode the least amount on, so we're going to see what it does. I don't really know how it's going to react on jumping as much as everything else, but I guess, oh man, it's pretty interesting. It almost feels like faster in a sense. I know it's going to sound crazy, and that's where it's going to kill you right there, is on some roughness and some jump peaks and stuff like that, but definitely feels more traction in the corners. I can already kind of feel that going on, but I've never been the kind of guy to want to sit a lot in MX Simulator. I don't know, other than like, seat bouncing and stuff like that. A lot of people, they try to act like you have to sit in the corners and stuff like that. No, you fucking don't. A lot of things in life, dude, you've got to go with your gut feeling over what anybody else tells you about anything. And, you may be that kind of person where sitting works better for you in the corners. And if that's the case, then do it. But if you don't like to sit down, or it doesn't fit your kind of style on the bike, then don't do it. You've got to do things for your own gain. You've got to listen to yourself a lot of times, because one thing I've learned about life, dude, and I'm getting off into some Spencer Turley life lessons here, but it's just, man, the whole world can have their own opinion on something, but all that really matters is what you think about it, because in the long run, you're the one that's actually doing whatever it is anyways. So you can take bits and pieces from people, but don't ever just run your whole program off of one person's, opinion about it. Like, you just can't do that, because 90% of the population out there just does not use their brain. They don't use it. So you've got to really think hard about whatever it is that you're doing. And it's, you would be surprised, dude, the amount of people that just, I'm telling you, it's like they're just walking around, never using their brain for anything. So, yeah, I thought it would be pretty cool if eventually there was something in MX Simulator where you could do, like this kind of roulette kind of deal with racing or something like that, where it was like, oh, everybody had to run stock suspension and you could actually do races, or everybody had to only sit down for the whole race, or only stand up, or I'd be really good at that, but or do something, maybe like, I don't know, only in 5th gear or something cool like that, and actually have like kind of halfway organized races for it. I think that would be pretty sick. And somebody recommended that I did this sit down only video, and I can't remember if somebody recommended to do the like roulette racing video or whatever, where you you randomly go in there and pick some different stuff to do when you go in there and race. I think some people's recommended that before, but I kind of have a different twist on it, where it's like everybody in the race has to have that, kind of defect of whatever it is that you are trying to have during the race, whether it's like any of those different things: stock suspension, full 100 on everything suspension, 100 stability, something like that. I think it would just make for some cool racing and stuff like that, and it's just something cool, a little bit different to do with the MX Simulator and get you out of that daily grind on the game. So I think that's very important in this game, but that daily grind can get gnarly. As far as the whips, it's not like you can't whip just sitting down the whole time. I think some people think you have to sit down to whip. You really don't. You don't have to sit down. That's kind of the biggest thing I'm trying to get across in this video as well, is you do not have to sit down anywhere on the track. Even seat bouncing, you don't have to sit down. It doesn't make that big of a difference in this game. That's where, like, you know, your difference in your MX versus ATV Alive and some of those games that have like a seat bounce button and a preload button or whatever, it's nothing how the sit button is in this game. I mean, the sit button is probably like 1/10 as strong of a actual, you know, seat bounce preload button in your Alive and some of those older MX versus ATV games. So that was something I realized when I first got into this game. I was like, oh, dude, I'm going to have to really learn how to sit down right before I hit a jump, because that's going to be really important. But once you start doing it, you realize, oh, that like barely gets me a little bit more height on the jump. That's pretty much all it does. And I'm talking like a couple of little baby millimeters. That's pretty much all you're getting. You're not going to be like skying it out 3 feet extra or anything like that. It's just not going to happen. It kind of changes your trajectory a little bit. It doesn't really make you jump any further. You know, it just kind of changes the way you come off of the jump face more so than anything. But yeah, I can cruise around with this sitting down only. I was thinking it was going to be a little bit harder for me just because I don't sit down very much, but it's actually not quite as bad as I was originally anticipating there. But it does have this vibe where it tries to track into the corners better. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and act like it doesn't. It definitely, I think it's where it really would help somebody is like on long ruts, long smooth ruts on a motocross track. That's about the only place I would think it would really somewhat benefit you. And all it's really doing is it's just making the bike feel more stable in those conditions. That's all. It's just kind of like the bike is having more straight drive traction in that kind of stuff. But it gets tricky when you start hitting roughness, though, because you'd have to really learn how to sit down, stand up, sit down, stand up, which I've gotten to that point where I can do that. But it's almost like it's more trouble than it's worth for me to sit down too often. And that's kind of always how I've been with this game. It's just like it's one more thing to have to think about all the time, so therefore you're not thinking about hitting your shifts right or leaning properly, or, you know, there's already so many different things running through your brain when you're playing this game. It's like, I would rather not have to worry about sitting down all the time, and you really don't have to. And I think there's a positive benefit to not sitting down all the time as well. Just like how in real life is, you know, standing up. There's some people that can stand up all the way through a corner and rail it. I think Adam Cincerillo had a little Instagram video where he did that. He was like, find somebody that can do both or whatever. Even you guys saw that, where he was like, he railed around a corner sitting down, Supercross corner, and then he railed around it standing up, pretty much the same exact speed. So you can, I think some of the fastest pros that ever were really good at standing up. I think that is something that definitely helped some of those people, but it's just a lot of it's riding style, I think, and what you prefer on the bike and what's more comfortable as I flip over 5 times. But and that's the cool thing about this game. You know, you get your own style, your own technique, your own everything, and your own setup that goes along with all that. So everything changes everything pretty much, and then you just, over time, you kind of build that certain unique kind of feel on the bike, and then you never really want to change it after that. Once you get to a certain level of comfort in this game, you are quite set on that, and like a certain type of setup, I feel like once you find that, then you're pretty set on that as well. But other than that, that's kind of what, and then like with the controller setup, once you get something that's, you know, fairly set on one thing, then it seems like you just want to keep that forever. But like that instance right there, that's where sitting down will kill you. Is like any sort of roughness, it's going to bounce you more. Any sort of, even the jumps do feel a little bizarre. I won't say it's like impossible to hit a jump sitting down the whole time, because I mean that's something you can do in real life too, but it is a little bit weirder. It gives you a little bit more of a kick, but it's just not something I would recommend. I mean, you can obviously sit down right before you leave the jump face, but sitting down all the way up the jump face, not really my kind of style, I wouldn't say. But yeah, anyways, that was kind of all for this video right here. As you guys can see, not too difficult, but definitely let me know in the comments for some different video ideas I can do with different sort of stuff like this. I've got a couple more planned out that I haven't done at all yet, so those should be pretty cool. But anyways, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.